Hey everyone, thanks for joining us. Of course, back here with Grant. I know he's missing his green screen today, but we're gonna have a better internet connection, which is good on the other end. But either way, we're gonna be going over kind of the blue sky potential of esports entertainment. We're getting a ton of messages. Okay, what does this mean? What's the potential? Where is this going? And wanted to kind of course, hear from the man himself, get some insight. What he sees, what his vision is, and go from there. But first things first, Grant, how are you?
Jason, I'm well. I'm actually missing my green screen as well, but the connection is solid today, so I'm in good humor.
No, good. Well, here, so I'll intro it again. I mean, getting messages, people asking, what does this mean in the grand scheme of things? What's the potential? What's the opportunity? I want to, of course, say that, at the beginning of this video, this is not set in stone. We're simply talking about the potential of both the industry, but also the company in terms of, what you're seeing, your vision, what could happen, of course, and any forward-looking statements, again, are just opinions. Do your own research, all that kind of stuff. So back to you, Grant. So if you want to kind of kick it off, if someone was to just come in and ask, well, what's the big opportunity? Investors constantly are asking other investors, oh, what's the blue sky potential? I'll throw it to you. What comes to your head?
Well, I think there's several blue sky opportunities, but let's start with the gambling side because that's where we started. If we look at the gambling industry, the online gambling industry, which is now, I guess, in its 25th year, it's we're talking about an industry that's over $100 billion if we're talking regulated, unregulated, online, and that's up from zero in 1995. That's a huge growth curve. Where we are in esports, which has 500 million and growing, fan base, on a global basis, uh, is we're very early days. If we were comparing that to what took place in 1995 to today, we're around 1997, and sports betting, and that was a mature industry when it went online. It didn't get profitable until into the 2000s. Now that's mostly because people were new to the online technology. They were uncomfortable with it, given credit cards. Thankfully, we don't have those hurdles to cover here in esports. It's just getting the right product to the esport fan base. So we have an industry, a global industry, with a huge fan base, a growing fan base, hundreds of millions of dollars being invested into esports, and other not considered traditional esports like the FIFA League and Call of Duty League, etc. Yet very few esports offering. And the online esports business, unlike the sports business, is not competing against a mature land-based betting market. There's no esports in casinos anywhere on this planet where it's eating up a ton of that potential maximum dollar. So the online opportunity for esports betting it's literally blue sky. You don't have any big competitors, eating into it. You don't have any land-based competition. The market, we felt the addressable market's going to be in the next 5 years, $3.5 billion. We believe we can capture 5% of that, which we feel is a reasonable number. That takes us into that, $180 million, from a gambling perspective, opportunity for us as a realistic goal. It's hard to get anything but ecstatic about that potential, that opportunity, because we have the licenses already. The new software platform gets launched in Q1. That'll be in Jersey, moving into the UK. We'll be launching it up on Malta, and other jurisdictions as we get those licenses, and other jurisdictions in the US as we get those licenses. So that's exciting. That's huge blue sky. Then you have the whole tournament opportunity. And I'm sure you're getting questions. What the hell are these guys doing? What does this mean when they sync up with the LA Kings, the LA Galaxy, the Philly Union? Not in anybody's definition, traditional esports, operations. These are traditional as it gets.
Yeah.
And what people forget, because sometimes we get our blinders on and we think of esports as Call of Duty, League of Legends, Dota, Rainbow, Rocket League, and just think of the traditional, if you could say, in an industry that's as young as esports is, the traditional titles in esports. We forget that FIFA, Madden, Call of Duty, those are all still video game competitive video games that people will play, and they will play for cash. So it does fall under the broader definition of what esports is. And these teams, the players and the fans, play those games. They play the games that they recognize, whether they play them on their console, whether they play them on their computer. So these opportunities for us, the blue sky, if you would, in this one is we're plugging into databases. In the case of the Kings and Galaxy, they have 9 million fans. Now, of those 9 million fans, according to research, the majority of them play some sort of video game, whether it's on their console, whether it's on their computer, whether it's on their mobile phone. So we're tapping into that marketplace. Nobody else has done this. And they're driving their fans, or they're marketing the tournament. It's their branded tournament to sign up on our platform. So from a player acquisition standpoint, it's the most efficient model that I've ever seen. And I've been involved in this industry for 25 years, as you know. So not esports, but the gambling side of things. For the fans that sign up, they're playing for something that they can't buy. They're playing for dinner with one of the stars of the traditional sports team, or they're playing for a visit to the locker room or the owner's box or seasons tickets, which you might be able to buy. Some of these teams have 20-year waiting list to get season tickets, or signed jerseys, something that's not readily available for them. They have to sign up. They have to play to win these unique prizes. So this is a huge opportunity. We're super pumped about it. Our first tournament's going to be running in December with the Philly Union, and then we're going to be kicking off working with the Kings and Galaxy early next year. It's untapped territory. We have multiple conversations taking place with other teams and other leagues have approached us. We're in various stages of discussion where we want to go with those. But when somebody sees one of these, we believe, particularly with the LA Galaxy Kings, which is a huge organization, it's very similar to Harris Blitzer, actually, on the West Coast, in that they own the Staples Center. We believe this will be a 7-figure a year contract for us. This would be very, very lucrative agreement for us, as opposed to we're going to start running tournaments. Now we got a market that we're running tournaments and trying to attract those fans. Marketing costs, as you know, Jason, that can be a black hole. You don't. Marketing costs are what they are. You spend until you get results, and there's obviously efficient ways and known ways to do it, but I can't think of a better way than having a mature organization that already has loyal fan bases of millions, marketing to join our platform to play for their swag.
Yeah. No, I mean, you touch on a lot of points, but even, some points that you haven't, that the big ones that I see, and you kind of, I would say, alluded or teased it a tiny bit, but, these big sports contracts lead to other big sports contracts and so on and so forth. Yeah, you say, this could be a 7-figure contract for us just with, the LA Kings. But that doesn't necessarily bring in the fact that all these other, of course, sports teams that are going to come in, be interested. You already talked about the gambling component and the fact that, look, I'm sure if you're watching this and you're, you play games, some of your friends, typically gambling and gaming goes pretty hand in hand. You've seen Roobet and things like that take off typically from marketing on Twitch. So people can see the potential, I hope, from a gambling side, but also coming back, of course, if you're able to tap into these fan bases and, a lot of people, of course, we touched on another video, there is a huge, I guess, what's the word? There's a huge relationship between, professional sports and gaming, you, like we've mentioned on other videos, you got Kevin Durant playing video games, Richard Sherman, all these people, and you had a lot of NBA players during the NBA bubble saying, hey, like all we could do after games was play Call of Duty, and you had all that, right? So of course, you'd have to assume that the fans are similar, right? And of course, you've got people who are, love to watch basketball, who are also playing, games, whether it's Call of Duty or NBA, you name it. Of course, that's another big part of it. And hopefully those fans you already touched on, even if it's, 1% or even half of 1%, it's still huge, for the company. So,
Well, for us, just to give you some, what is that number? It's roughly a third of a percentage point. So the participation level for us to be break even is low enough. It's not an unrealistic number. You don't need 10% or some, ridiculously optimistic number. We're very conservative in our projections, and and depending on what the price is. I mean, if it's season's tickets for an NFL franchise, it's going to be like a $20 buy-in to get that. But if it's for a jersey, it may only be $5 to sign up for that tournament. It's not going to be a prohibitively expensive event. It's going to be.
Will there be any free tournaments? I've seen that question been asked a few times.
Pardon me?
Will there be any free to enter tournaments?
Well, to date, the teams have, the only conversations we've had is playing for swag or playing for a charity event to raise money. The first event we're going to be running, in fact, is going to be a charity event. We won't be charging, but the money there will be an expectation of donation to participate, because that'll be going for a charity. I can't get into details on it because the team wants, it's their announcement, so we have to wait for that. So the short answer is we're not going to be, no, with the teams. We will, on our platform, have free tournaments, but that's not the relationship with the teams. The teams are playing for swag.